Just doing a little late night pixel art stream here. See if I can talk a little louder than the desktop audio there. Yeah. Welcome back. So I've got this beautiful drawing here that I did over the last couple days, and pretty happy with it. I think I'm going to make it like you know, a snow level, right? So I'm thinking like a bunch of particles, maybe some wind effect, right? I was thinking maybe melting ice somehow. I don't know. Just coming up with ideas. But I've got this kind of figured out. So this is going to be like the blocks, right? Every level has like blocks in this game. And it's going to have this special edge on it, but I'm not sure exactly what I'm going to do with that. Excuse me. Yeah. So, it's gonna turn headphones down a little bit. All right, yeah. I don't know if that turned it down for you, but yeah. Okay. So, I'm not gonna work on this. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna work on the background that's gonna scroll behind this. And that should keep me pretty occupied. So yeah, it's gonna make a new, so I could start from scratch, but I think what I'm gonna do is I'm going to open a different level. You can see that's how it started. This was a early version of it. So there's like an iteration going on there. I don't do that. That was a reference. So yeah, it's not going to be there. It's going to be hidden somewhere deep within this, which is where I've been saving files for a long time now. Let's see here. There should be some type of method here. I need to focus on what I'm looking for, which is the big scrolly backgrounds. So I think there's a, yeah, parallax. Okay, yeah, these are it. So I've got a few different ones already. I've got the green, and yeah, I just picked the green one because that's the easiest to see what's going on here. And if I pull this up, it's probably better off on the other side here. There we go. Yeah, so now we've got a whole bunch of different layers here. A lot of stuff going on here. Yeah, it looks like there's a few different backgrounds here. I made this a long time ago. Yeah. So there's a template here, and that's kind of what I needed, right? And everything else I can get rid of and then just make a copy. I don't need that stuff. Save as, and we'll call this parallax snow. sides? No sides. Alright, yeah. So I'm just gonna start working my way in from 5 to 4, and yeah. So going to make a new layer here. We'll call it 5 for sake of ease. And 5 is going to have ice on it. They're all going to have ice on it, and then the edge is going to have like ice crystals or ice jagged ice. So yeah, it'd be like a bunch of jagged ice moving, and it won't make a whole lot of sense, but I think it'll look cool. And I was thinking maybe it'd be cool to do some type of transparency or something like that. I don't know. Haven't thought too much about that. Either way, the transparency effect will be cool. All right, so I've got no palette set up here, and all right, so I think I'm just gonna start with this stuff that I've already got here. I'm going to first of all stop this animation, turn off some of these layers. You can see the ice here. There's an animation, and turn off the ice. There's like bricks and animation behind it. So yeah, what I want is just the ice, and you can see it's like a high level texture, what it is. And I made that. It's pretty easy to do, but it'd be a lot easier to just take what I've already made. Where did it go? Did it disappear? The wrong layer? Oh, I was on the wrong layer. There we go. Copy. Alright. 5, paste. Alright, and I'm gonna turn on the grid here. That grid's way off. I need to make that better size here. We'll grid settings. 16 by 16. There we go. That makes more sense. We'll just start in the corner. I kind of think 4 will be a good number to start with. All right. Oh yeah, I put overlay for the mouse and keyboard. I don't know how easy that is to see or read, especially the keyboard stuff. Yeah, well, it's there. I guess, yeah, if you know what it is, then it makes sense. All right, so what I want to do now is make like a jaggy edge on this thing, and I'm gonna just kind of use the palette that I've already got here. And I do have a tablet here, so I'm just gonna use that since it's here. Probably be just as easy to use a mouse, but I kind of like the tablet. Actually, I really like the tablet. But I do wish it was easier to zoom in and out. It's just easier to go back to the mouse. But alright, so that jaggy kind of sucks. I don't like that. I have to get a reference out. Yeah. I don't know, I'm just kind of working out a silhouette here. And it doesn't have to repeat. Oh. But yeah. This is the effect that I'm going for. Oh. Actually, I want that to be a sharper angle. Oh. There we go. I don't like that. Yeah, so I'm just kind of faceting off some of these edges where the lighter colors would be. Of course, that's not the lightest, but it's pretty light. Yeah, and since I'm not making this for the Nintendo or anything like that, there's no actual constraints on the size or the palette. So I'm just kind of going to town on whatever I think looks good here. What I need to do is build a palette out of all of these colors here. Because it was built, but there was a whole bunch of other colors too. I don't know if this is easier, but I think, oh, there's one or two more. Alright, that is about it. There's one more. Oh, is that another? Saw something. Is that the pink? Could have just been the magenta. Alright. Anyways, now I've got a whole lot of colors to choose from. So if I go here, I can see that this is lighter. Kind of make some highlights here. And I've decided the light is coming from above. So for the darker stuff, more saturated, it's going to be more on the bottom. Just because the light's coming from above. Yeah. Yep. Oh, different version of the same song. So we're just kind of listening to tracks that I made a while ago. Oh, that's not what I want. I was looking for random, and then I can't seem to find it. I feel like I had random working before. I don't know where it went. But it's a playlist, and I just kind of threw all these tracks that were in a folder together, and in there, and not all of them should have made it. Some of them are like early recordings, or they have little accidental outtakes in them, like where some extra drums get played at the end, and they just keep playing without any other tracks. So it's fun. Alright. Yeah, so the reason I use these ugly colors is so I can easily tell them apart. One of those things. No longer seeing it for being ugly is just organizational. Something like this. You know, what am I doing? This can be this guy. Actually, I want all four of these. So I was actually thinking about making more music for Retro Spaceball and for the stream and just for making music. But like, yeah, that's where why isn't this going exactly right? That's where I haven't drawn the line yet, because I want to also make more music for Sourcehack, and that's been getting better and better for me. Because it's not always easy to learn a new like music editing software, especially one that's like kind of quirky. And actually the quirks aren't too bad, but there are a little bit of quirks in GB Studio, that is. But yeah, oop, I keep thinking plus and minus are gonna go up and down like in GIMP. Yeah, like switch gears. Okay, so this is like the third time that I've heard this, so I don't know what's going on with that. Let's see here. So I think this is the one that we want to hear, I think. Yeah, so I'm going to remove the other two. And I don't want to hear this again because it can't be that different. It'll play through again later, I'm pretty sure. What is it? Doesn't tell me how many tracks are on this list. But it's an hour and 2 minutes long, so. Alright, yeah, so I like this. I like how this is turning out. I might go and refine some things, but the silhouette thing was working out for me, so I'll do that again. We'll just grab a dark color there, and we'll just draw some more spikes, like a dinosaur tail or something. Zoom in. Oh, is it selected something? All right. So yeah, like if it comes out 2, that's fine. If it comes out all the way up to here, that's a little bit weird, but I'll be okay with it sticking out a bit. I don't know. That looks better. Yep. Drawing spikes. I've always been kind of into drawing sharp stuff, I realized. Actually, someone else drew it to my attention in art school. They're like, you like to draw sharp stuff. And I was like, I guess you're right. I think you're onto something. Never thought about it that way, but yeah, I kind of do like to draw sharp stuff. Sharp stuff. Yeah, I used to draw a lot of teeth, and I would make them sharper than they needed to be. What else? Knives, needles, lots of sharp things. Oh, wrong button. Just trying to draw in some crags, so that way I kind of remember what I'm thinking when I go back, like where the dark is and where the light is. But I'll just draw over it later, so not a big deal. I feel like if I use some of these tiles and then like reverse them and then edit them a bit, I think that'll help to make it look like it's all cohesive. I know there's like, oh jeez, there's like a lot left. Let's see here. Yeah, so I'll edit it now. So it doesn't look exactly the same, but it looks similar enough to where your brain says like, oh, these are all kind of the same but different, and just kind of helps it fill in the gaps a little bit, I guess, or something. That's probably not the best way to describe that. Oh, I keep wanting to hit minus to zoom out. All right. So yeah, we're like what, like third of the way. So yeah, at some point I feel like repeating stuff is going to make this process a lot easier. And then yeah, I can fill things in later. Or, you know, if I fill things in first, then repeating it will be easier. And then again, I can touch stuff up if I need to. But... Alright, so I'm gonna start with the wall. I feel like that's a good starting spot. It has been a long time since I've made music for Retro Spaceball. Well, like almost a year or so. I'm not quite sure actually. It feels like a while. This is that track with the drums. I need to remove it from the playlist, but that hasn't happened yet. Like every time I open the software, it just like it's in there. All right. Where was I? Here or so. That was rough. Kept selecting the wrong pixel. Yeah, too big. I'm just kind of filling in the gaps here. I'll go back and refine where it needs to be broken up a bit. But I need to get rid of that red. Alright, that's looking better. Now to break it up a bit. It feels like there's more shades, but there's only 4. Where's that one that I'm not using? Alright, this is looking good. Probably gonna clean up some of this chunkiness, but the general shape is there. Of course, got a long way to go to make each of these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6. Yep. Clicking on stuff. Alright. Speaking of that, it looks like I misclicked here too. Maybe not, but I'm Fix that. Looks bad. Oh, what is this? Alright. Yeah. Yep. Drawn ice crystals. Yeah. How's that look? Not bad. It's funny because it's gonna be moving so fast that you can't really make out all the shapes anyways. So it's gonna look like a bit of a blur. But then again, I might slow that down. I did get some feedback one time where a streamer thought that it was unthrottled by his CPU. He thought the animation was going off the rails, which wasn't the case. It was just set to move very fast. That's something that happens when you're in indie, is that people play your games and they're like more susceptible to thinking that something's a bug when it's not, just because it's an indie game and that you're like, you know, not well known. So they just assume that like, oh, it could be a bug, and I do it too. It happens all the time. And sometimes it is a bug. So, but other times it's not a bug and people just assume it is. But it happens more often than you think. Maybe I should work on filling the stuff in again, so it's not just silhouettes. Oh, again, I should use these. I should just grab a whole bunch, or make a whole bunch. Or, yeah, or grab a whole bunch. How many more do I need? Oh, made it. Oh, I did it again. Alright. There it is. I've heard many conversation about whether you should start with the lights or the darks. And in pixel art, it doesn't really make a difference. As long as you're working from both ends of the spectrum, not spending too much time, I'm having trouble here, in any one end of the spectrum, like if you spend too much time doing the lights and not enough time doing the darks, then your contrast might be off, and vice versa. However, in traditional media, you typically wanted to start with your lights first. You did want to have an idea of where your darks were going to be, but in traditional media, you couldn't always commit to the darks without potentially ruining the support or the drawing paper or whatever you're on, the canvas, or depending on the media, going too dark is unerasable. So yeah, lightest colors first in painting, in charcoal your lightest values first, and eventually you want to know exactly where your darkest darks are going to be and put those down as soon as you can, as soon as you know exactly where they're going to be, because knowing what the darkest dark is going to look like in comparison to the lightest light, which you should already have as well, that's going to help you in terms of contrast. And the sooner you get that in any piece, digital or traditional, the better off you are. I was just thinking about how that translates to sculpture, and it doesn't really it doesn't really work for sculpture. The sculpture, you kind of like don't see the finished product until you're almost there, and then you spend like a lot of time polishing that finished product. It's crazy how much time you just spend smoothing skin, but you have to do it at the end because you like touch that stuff all the time when you're modeling all the parts and stuff. And it's like, oh, by the way, gotta get those thumbprints out of the skin, you know. I really enjoyed sculpture. I actually kind of wanted to do a sculpture stream. I'd still have the clay. It's oil-based clay, so it doesn't dry. I have like a lot of the tools and stuff that I need. There's even a backyard here where I could plaster the stuff if I needed to. Of course, moving plastered casts is kind of a pain, but I already got some, and it's easier to move the plaster than it is the clay. We've got this owl that is made out of clay still. I never finished it, so I never made it into a cast. Never casted it, and that was the plan back in 2012 when I started it. Lots changed since then. But I still love sculpture, so I really kind of want to get back into it. This thing, maybe do smaller stuff, tear down the owl. The owl's huge. It's huge and heavy. And it's like a whole bunch of clay. The clay is a funny story. So at this school in the city, they have like a connection to get clay. Not for cheap, but for, I don't know, a little bit cheaper than you would get it if you tried to buy it yourself. Right, because they're buying it in bulk. So, and it's also like really heavy, and shipping that stuff is like a pain. So they have it shipped directly to the building. They have a special lift that they use to bring it up, and then you've got like, I don't even know how many pounds, dozens, no, hundreds of pounds of clay. It's got to be hundreds, because I brought home at least like 60 pounds. It was so heavy. Like, it didn't seem that heavy until like I was like, because my trip was like 8 blocks on foot, and then it was like on the train and on the highway, and of course the train and the highway weren't bad, but I was also carrying one of the sculptures that I made, and like a plaster cast, and so I'm carrying this head, and I've got this backpack that's just like busting, like seriously, like literally busting at the seams with clay. Like the backpack was never the same after that. In fact, I never took all the clay out of the backpack. That's what that backpack was already starting to bust, to be honest. I sacrificed the backpack for the clay, and it's still got the clay in it. Like I put like Walmart bags as like insulator and just like packed it in there. Yeah, of course a lot of that went to the owl, but still got a lot, even not considering the owl. But yeah, once I start tearing down that, I'll have more clay than I know what to do with, assuming that it's all usable. Something like that clay doesn't go bad unless you get like debris in it, and then you have to like pick it out, and it's never the same. If you're trying to do something like skin, like I was talking about, and you're like picking out debris, that's like the worst. Because you need fresh clay to have like super smooth surfaces. But if you're just doing something like for fun, and you know, not gonna sell it for $1 million or something like that, I don't even know. Or you could just pick out the hair or whatever, throw away the bad chunks of clay. The stuff isn't like super malleable or pliable. It's like it's weird because the stuff that I bought was like it was like medium grade, because there's like a hardness scale, and then but I think I ended up bringing home some that was harder, and then it got mixed together. So there's like, I think there's some hard and some not hard. But in the winter, it's like super hard. Even the non-hard stuff was hard in the winter. Just got to heat it up somehow. I would make cylinders, because once you have it in a cylinder, it's pretty easy to keep warm. But like, you know, you get chunks and you like put them on the put them where the furnace is or whatever, where the heat flow is. Or I had a like a space heater, one of those oil based space heaters, like it's got the oil in it. I just put like a plate or something on that, and then just like heated the clay until it was like malleable in the winter, just like unusable. Yeah, so some of these songs, these are more like sketches than songs. They're not all finished. Some of them are, some of them aren't. Or like some of them don't have like full intros or outros or anything like that. They're just the core of the song, which has kind of been the way that I've been working. And I like it. I like that way of working. I think that it suits me well. Just get in, do the job, be done with it, and then if I need to, or if I feel like it, go back and make iterations. It's very game dev like of me to do. I'm definitely developing a style in music. I mean, even when I'm making it for the Game Boy, where the limitations are like right there in your face, like it still kind of sounds similar. Although, of course, making music for games and games require different music. From my understanding, from my perspective, I guess, my opinion. I mean, you could probably use some game music for more than one game, but for the most part, you should have custom music for your game. Oh, another dupe. Another dupe. Yep, one day I should really go through this and prevent that from happening. Yeah, making stabbies. Icicle stabbies. I always forget how long this takes to do, like this kind of thing. Like this is only one layer. I always forget that I have to like go back for multiple sessions to do all the layers. I don't know how far I'm gonna get tonight. I started really late. At about an hour now. So I've been playing this game, Unidentified Falling Objects. It's pretty good. It's very addicting. Very addicting. I've been getting quite into it. I finally got to stage 3 before I decided I needed to not play that game so much. But it is really good. It's like organizing boxes and then shooting them, and you get these different upgrades for your little robot guy. And yep. Yeah, I've got rocket jump right now, so when you jump, it shoots the blocks underneath you, which is nice. Because prior to that, it was kind of annoying to like not be able to shoot underneath you. But it gives you a little jump boost, which is nice, but you no longer have the cape, so you can't float down, which was nice before that. Which you start with the cape. Yeah. Sorry if I'm a little bit quiet. It is 1:49 in the morning and I don't want to wake anyone, so yeah, I'm liking the idea of an ice level. I've been thinking about it for a while. Like, for a while I was like, blue is like the shield color, and like I already chose to do a blue water level, so like that's a lot of blue. But I like ice. I think ice looks cool. I was definitely referencing Donkey Kong Country and Donkey Kong Country 2 quite a bit when I was coming up with the like how I was gonna do it. Obviously I didn't do it the same way, but the look that I was going for without straight up doing 3D models and stuff like they did, which I could do, but I didn't. I thought about it. I was like, I don't want to go through all of that. It's bad enough that I'm doing all of this. I mean, like I said before, this is something that's going to scroll by super fast. The player is hardly going to notice. They look good on screenshots, but yeah, so basically each little spike or ice nodule has like its own little like, not gradation, but like, I don't know, almost like a hierarchy of colors, right? Where you've got the darkest, most saturated as the outline and the shadows, and then you've got like the next step up is like this like grayish unsaturated blue, and then the next one up from there is like this cyan that's unsaturated, right? And from there you've got your super, oh, it's kind of saturated, kind of light, the ice reflection color, your highlight. That's what I'm trying to say, the highlight. And there are 3 different shades of each one. was talking about using repeating tiles, and I think I still want to do that, but should have done it earlier, I think, because I'm doing a lot of hand drawing of this stuff where, like I said, it's gonna scroll by really fast. As long as it looks cool tiled, like there's no reason why you wouldn't want to do that. I think that's one of the coolest parts about retro games and like homebrew games, is that you're like reusing the art in a way that still looks good and appealing, even though you're seeing it all the time. Like tiling textures and stuff like that. Same goes for palette as well. Of course, when I started this game, I wasn't as into homebrew or restrictions or any of that. I was still learning pixel art, so it didn't seem like a good idea to throw all of these other rules on top. And honestly, I'm happy with the choice I made. I like this aesthetic, and I like what I started with, or at least how I've adapted it. It's been a fun journey. I would do it again. Probably make some changes how I did it, but maybe not. I don't know. I kind of like the way things have been going for me. Of course, there's been uncontrollable stuff that happens for everyone. And I feel like I've done my best with what I've been given and all of that. I don't know. Sometimes I still get bitter about not getting a job right out of college, but whatever. I kind of dodged a bullet, I think. You know, those a lot of the jobs I was applying for, like your AAA studio jobs, like you didn't want those jobs. It seemed like you wanted those jobs, but I don't know. The longer you stick around, the longer, or the easier it is to realize how those jobs are kind of a bad deal. They tend to prey upon their own fans. Like, let's say you really like a game, and then you get the opportunity to, you know, interview there. Are you gonna tell them how much you like working there, right? It might help you get the job, right? And you, after all, you really like what they've done, you're a huge fan, and you can't wait to work there yourself. So you gush a little bit, and then before you know it, they're expecting you to work for free, basically, or for next to nothing. You know, because and you know, this hasn't happened to me, but I've heard of it happening with like Blizzard and EA and stuff like that, where these big franchises, they say, oh yeah, I'd love to work on Destiny or whatever it is, you know, and it might be good for a little bit or maybe not, you know. Sometimes these people, they get hired on and then fired right away, or the game gets canceled, or it just doesn't sell enough, so they just take it down. Apparently that's something they do these days. And hopefully you didn't like sell your house and move across the country with a family to go move to, you know, some place in California or Washington where it's super expensive to live, then have to sell your house again at a loss. And this happens to people. So yeah, could have dodged that bullet. Or I guess I dodged that bullet. That's the bullet I dodged. And you know, I got to learn how to make games all on my own. Like, not everyone, even AAA people, they can't say that. Not all of them can say that. to make a game from scratch on your own is very difficult. Of course, finishing it is a whole nother story. And I've worked on games that I've finished before. Oh, nothing this scope. Man, my hand's getting sore. I gotta take a little break. What are we looking at here? I nearly finished. And it's not a repeating pattern either, like the other ones. That's why it took so long. It does need some cleanup still. But not a whole lot, because it's going to be moving really fast. Gonna have to make it connect. Hey, Prototype Fee is raiding the channel. Hey, what's going on, everyone? Thanks for the raid. Yeah, you know, I was lurking in your channel for a little bit. I was doing other stuff though, so I didn't want to join in and chat and get pulled away from what I was doing. But it looked like you were making some type of mouse creature or something like that. That looks really cute. Or it looked like a mouse to me. It was like a mouse, like a mouse, you know, like a mouse. That's what it looked like to me. Anyways, thanks for rating. I really appreciate it, everyone. Thank you for letting Fee collect info on humans through your stream. Very nice. Yeah, a mouse, totally. It was indeed a rabbit mouse. Okay. Your hair is sick. Thank you. Yeah, I cut it myself, believe it or not. I've been cutting my own hair for a long time. But yeah, I don't really put a whole lot of effort into it, so. For real, that's crazy. It's nice. Thanks. Maybe it's just the lighting or something. I don't really think it looks nice. It's, you know, a lot of split ends going on here. Some gray going in there. Oh, thanks for the follow, Nat One Night. Really appreciate that. What am I doing? I'm actually working on some pixel art. I was just giving my hand a break when you guys walked in. I did all of this layer today. So I started with this. And now I've got this. I did take this tiling texture from something I made earlier here, where let's see. Yep, we've got my animated bricks for a snow level that I'm working on. Oh my god, I love all the little creatures. There's the stream avatars. Yeah, I think it's fun with the pixel art stuff. I gotta go to bed, so I'll be sleeping. But those tiles look great. Thanks, Prototype Fee. I really appreciate the raid. Thanks for dropping by. Have a great sleep. You, sir, is looking rather ravishing today. I wanted to say this just in case no one has said that. Keep grinding. We believe in you. Thank you, Kitsunuar. I appreciate that. My creature looks really cute. You can change it if you like. There's a way to do that in the whatever it's called, the extension. Good night, Fee. Appreciate that. Yeah, no, it's really, really cool you guys dropped in. I was just kind of chatting with myself, and you know, for posterity, I like to talk to myself while I stream here. Yeah, lurk all you'd like. I don't know how much longer I'll be going. I kind of want to at least finish this guy, this layer. So finish this stuff and clean up this stuff. But yeah. It has the emotes. Yeah, there's like a whole bunch of stuff with that. Honestly, I got into stream avatars a couple years ago when I was streaming, and then I haven't streamed for like ever, and then I've been streaming just a little bit more recently, and just kind of getting back into it. So it's probably going to be kind of rough, just, you know, around the edges, because yeah. What is that? A wall? What is that wall? Is it ice? Yeah, so it's going to be like parallax scrolling ice. I can show you what I'm working on here. I have not loaded Unity, so it will take a minute, but I don't know if I've probably got some screenshots that I could pull up maybe while Unity loads, because that's gonna take a second. But yeah, I've been working on a game. It's called Retro Spaceball for nearly 7 years now, and you know, a lot of things have kind of come up. It's not like I've just been like struggling this whole time. I was working full time for a good 3 years of that at a picture framing studio. And then I was full time game dev for about 9 months, and then a client kind of scooped me up and kind of gave me an offer I couldn't really refuse, and I've been working for them, and that's been working for me, and it's been hard to put time aside. Oh, Unity user. Oh, you're Godot user. Godot user. You're both Godot and Unreal. That's cool. You know, I like to hear about variety for sure when it comes to that. Oh, we got some people spawned inside the picture there. Fix that. I don't know what happened there. But yeah, I like to use Unity because that's just kind of what I got. That's what I got good at, right? You know, like back in 2013, that's what I stumbled into. Before that, it was Game Maker and what was the other ones, like RPG Maker, and like just a whole bunch of weird stuff. Like I was just finding all of these obscure engines, and I couldn't quite figure out Unreal. It was a little bit too difficult for me. The blueprints didn't exist yet, and you know, it was deep. I still don't know C++ programming. I could probably read it maybe, but I wouldn't be able to tell you exactly what's going on. An OG, nice. I started like a year ago. Oh, cool. Yeah, I think Godot is a great place to start these days for sure. Back when I tried it, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, it still needed some work, and it's not like that put a bad taste in my mouth. I just haven't gotten around to getting back into Godot. Because I didn't get very far with the tutorial. Yeah. See what's Unity. Yeah. Here is Unity. Alright. Go to the other screen, Unity. Why are you doing this? It seems like Unity does not want to go on a different screen, which is weird. Oh wow, it's acting really weird. Maybe it's still loading. We'll have to give it a minute here. Did I break it? Oh wait, what is this? There it is. It's on the other screen. Oh shit, where'd it go? You should totally check out Godot 4.3. Every update we get more push requests, and it's catching up with Unity. Yeah, no, I totally think I should check it out. It's one of those things, like once you're like using an engine so much that you're like using it for work and using it for your own stuff, it's like it's hard to just like switch. But it does look more and more appealing for sure. And then like whatever kind of leftover energy I had for like learning engines, I kind of just like did the GB Studio thing where I just like, oh well, I'll just do that with my spare time. So like if I get sick of Unity, then I go to GB Studio. And then so, you know, I have been learning to do some stuff with Unreal as well, so it's not like I don't use Unreal at all. But yeah, the Godot, I just haven't jumped back into it. I should check it out though. I will have to one of these days. All right, what's going on with Unity? I had it. It's man, it's doing some weird stuff. It doesn't like the dual monitor thing going on here. Okay. Oh man. It's really, it's not, whoa, it's doing something weird here. I think I broke it. Holy shit, I've never seen it break like this before. It's like my oh, you know what it is? My stylus got stuck up against the thing, so I'm like trying to move the mouse and it wouldn't let me move it because the stylus was preventing it. That's what all that was. The stylus was preventing it from moving. Jeez. All right, so here's my game, Retro Spaceball. This is the level that I just made recently. It's got this parallax background, which is what I'm trying to explain. Yeah, once you settle down, it gets harder, but at least give it a surface look someday. You might enjoy it. Yeah, I'll give it another surface look for sure. I definitely plan to do that. Now, are you making 2D stuff or 3D stuff with Godot? And are you using physics at all with Godot? Because I always thought that was like interesting. Like I heard that there was issues. Oh, you know, I can make this bigger so we can actually see what I'm working on here. I heard there was issues with the pixel art stuff where it wasn't like pixel perfect or something like that. I don't really know. Because yeah, I'm not a Godot user, so I didn't dig in, but I remember hearing that some people had issues with that. And then same with the physics, was that the physics still needed work. But yeah, I don't mean to put it down. I think it's great that there's a open source like option, right? I think the more options we have, the better. Oh, and I died. But yeah, you see what I'm saying with this parallax background, right? I'll open it up on the other window here. You can see what's going on with this background here. It's moving pretty fast. And then it goes way back. You zoom in. But that's what I'm working on for upcoming Snow Planet. Because this is the green planet. There's like a purple block planet, which is kind of just generic planet. That was before I realized that I was going to make planets and that they were going to be themed. I started I don't think I need to save that. Maybe I should. Before, yeah, so I started this whole purple block thing, and it's funny because it looked totally different back 7 years ago or whatever. But yeah, it's just, you know, and then the background is orange because purple and orange. It's a funny thing because I develop in 2D, but I enjoy making low poly. I don't tend to code physics, but Pixel Perfect got fixed a bit ago, if I recall. Oh, that's awesome to hear that Pixel Perfect stuff got fixed. Also, for better physics, you can use Jolt in 3D and 2D physics engines in the plugins tab. Okay, cool. So there's like a 2D physics plugin that you can use. Oh, 2D and 3D. That's awesome. And you love the effects. I really appreciate that. Yeah, I've been, like I said, I spent a lot of time just kind of polishing the game. Like this first level, it wasn't even the first level. I had to go back and make the game easier so people could have like a better learning curve, and that was really difficult. Sometimes people still say that like, oh, the first few levels are too easy, but then there's other people that like still have trouble, like, wait, I have to shoot the ball, like, oh, I gotta get it to the top, okay. And like, I totally understand that because it's like its own new game genre. Like, it's nothing like this has existed before, right? Like, kind of, maybe a little bit, but not with the scrolling and all that verticality. So I can't expect players to just know. Yeah, this has triple A quality. The parallax is so well achieved. Triple A quality. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I don't know if triple A and pixel art really go well together these days anymore. But yeah, back in the day, the triple A games were pixel art, you know. But yeah, you know, I kind of when I started this project, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. And now I have a better idea of what I want to do, but I've been kind of sucked away from the project for so long that like my my plans for what I need to do actually involves like a heavy rebranding actually. And I haven't really talked about it, but I have a new title for the game and I haven't really tested it yet. So you tell me, what title do you like better? The current title, which is Retro Spaceball, or Blast Orb, which is the title that I'm working with. Retro Spaceball or Blast Orb, right? Blast Orb, BLASTORB, one word. You dig Blast Orb? Okay. Yeah, I like Blast Orb better, but so Retro Spaceball started as a working title, and I could never come up with a better title. And I did like a few social media posts like way back in the day and didn't get good results. I got a lot of different ideas of different titles that all weren't very good. Like I wrote down a whole bunch of them, and yeah, Retro Spaceball just it explained the game well enough where like nothing else really did. But yeah, Retro Spaceball tells you what it is, or tells you what it's about also, but it feels a bit generic. It feels extremely generic if you ask me, because it's just like, I don't know, it's like a mobile game, right? And honestly, when I first started the game, I was planning on making like a mobile version and like a Steam version and like a web version, and I was doing that for a while. And the mobile version, it wasn't very good. It wasn't very polished, like the controls, you know. And then it started to lag and stuff like that, and I didn't even have all this cool parallax stuff in yet. So I just kind of abandoned that once I realized that I couldn't, like, I got the controls working on the gamepad, I think, and then it didn't work on the mobile anymore. I was like, well, one or the other. I'm gonna choose the gamepad. I think that's kind of how it went. But yeah, so this is like the end of Planet 1. The game just got like a little bit tougher. It was like the first time you could maybe die if you really didn't know what you're doing, but there's like that shield regenerator there to prevent that, so you'd really have to be pretty bad at the game to die in the first 5 levels. And I kind of did that on purpose because it's like the tutorial without saying like this is the tutorial, or like it's completely holding your hand. It's like here's a bunch of easy levels that you can totally get. Why isn't it just playing the next level? Oh, it's loading the whole shebang here. So this is the I can make this bigger so we can actually see it here. This is oh, it seems to be broken because the data is not loaded, but this is the overworld. Cutscene that I put together. It's pretty long. I spent so long making it. Yeah, sacrifices are what game dev is all about. I hope you managed to deliver a good product in the end. I really appreciate that. Oh yeah, the learning curve. the learning curve, man, there's so much learning curve. I'm not sure which one you're talking about, but I know exactly what you're talking about because it's everywhere in game dev. Like everything you do, you're just gonna get better at it because you learn more about it, and then I don't know. Some of it, it's like a wall, you know, like trying to learn the stuff. But yeah, I don't know. I definitely feel that, the whole sacrifice thing. But there's also like a point where you gotta draw the line. You know, like I spent it's probably about 10 years teaching myself how to program before I even considered myself like a programmer at all, before I could take a job as a programmer or anything like that. And I cut out a lot of things in my life to do that. All I did was work and make the game, and I had a few relationships, and a lot of them, they were like, what's wrong with you? Why are you playing games all the time? I'm like, I'm actually making a game. It's a little bit different. So I'm not saying that, you know, everyone's like that, but that was definitely a thing for me. You meant learning curves is holding the player's hand. Oh, I see what you're saying as far as like tutorials. Yeah, you studied computer science for like 3/4 or 3/4 of a year before game deving, or is that, yeah, 3/4 of a year? Yeah, that's cool. I never took a computer science class. I went to art school. Oh, 3 or 4 years. Okay, I got you. Yeah, then you probably have a better handle on programming than I do. But I've been doing it for a long time, but I'm self-taught. You know, there's like a big difference there. I know how to do what I know how to do, and I can do it in ways that don't break because I've been doing it for a long time. But if you were to look at my code or show it to someone that knows anything about code, they would like kind of throw up in their mouth a little bit, I think. You don't remember 3 or 4 years? Yeah, you know, that happens. Someday it'll come back to you and you'll be like, oh, it was only 3 years, or oh yeah, it was 4 years, 4 full years. But what kind of computer science stuff did they have you learning? I always felt like I wouldn't be able to learn unless it was about games. I feel like if it's not about games, then I have no interest, like, whatsoever. Regarding relationships, I get what you mean. Support is hard in such an environment, but we have a community, we can support each other. It's true that there's a community, but there's also a difference between like having the online social, like, you know, ness, and then actually talking to people. And then also there is life outside of game dev. I know it's hard to imagine when you're like in the thick of it, but some people are still great people and they have no understanding of game dev or no desire to learn, or don't want to hear you talk about games all the time. And they're still good people, you know what I mean? Don't get me wrong, it's definitely easier for me to talk to people who like talking about games, or know some things about game design, or like board games at least, you know, or something. I don't know. Card games, board games, Monopoly, Candyland, anything. Candyland. You were learning stuff about user inputting and small websites. See, that would be very difficult for me. Like the user input stuff, like I could see using that for games, like me now, like with us having some understanding now, like I could be like, oh, that'd be a fun thing to pick up. But back when I was like first learning programming and that kind of stuff, I definitely wouldn't have had the patience to like learn something that's like not something that was already like in my desired path, right? Like the way that I want it to go. And I guess that's kind of selfish, but it's just really hard for me to learn about stuff that I don't fully care about. Yeah, I know, totally. Physical real support is better always. Yeah, I mean, it's just a different reality, you know what I mean? I'm not saying that the online support isn't a thing, because it totally is awesome. I love having online friends, and you know, Twitch has been a big part of this game, believe it or not. Like, I know I've been a very on and off streamer, and mostly off, but lots of people have come into my Discord from the Twitch stream, and usually it's just like me talking to like 1 or 2 other people late at night, kind of like this. But yeah, that's how I started to get feedback for the game. Started studying computer science because they promised to teach us game dev second year in. I realized it was BS and became self-taught. but I did have a background in Python and C#. Awesome. Yeah, that's really cool. I remember wanting to learn Python before I started learning C#, which is interesting because I actually have a music background as well as an art background. And one of the MIDI controllers I had, you could theoretically program Python programs for it. I couldn't, but someone else did, and I was able to download those scripts and use them with my MIDI controller. And I was like, man, I really want to learn this so I could better use this really awesome MIDI controller. And then shortly after, I fell into C#. I actually started with Unity scripts back then. It was kind of like Java, right? Or JavaScript, kind of like JavaScript, and they called it Unity script. But then they deprecated it. That was a big pain. All right, so I'm not finishing a lot of art here, so I'm gonna go back to the drawing. Back to the drawing board. JavaScript, that's scary. So JavaScript and C# are very, very similar. I mean, I don't know. Yeah, I gotta lock in. No, I'm pretty laid back. Part of the reason why I wanted to do art stream was because I didn't feel like locking in too much. I mean, it's nice to get things done. Don't get me wrong, but yeah, I like being chill and relaxed. I don't try to put myself under too many deadlines, especially if I have deadlines from work or anything like that. Then like all my own deadlines kind of go out the window. I used to have really strict road maps, and then I couldn't stick to them. Yeah, I did study JavaScript too, but the logic was really odd. So I didn't study this stuff. I just mostly copy and pasted stuff until like I got a basic understanding of how to do it without copy pasting. And then once I learned C#, the JavaScript, Unity script stuff just went out the window. And it wasn't really, it was kind of based on JavaScript is what it was. And honestly, I don't think I really use JavaScript outside of that. So maybe like a little bit, just a tiny bit. Like I think I actually use a little bit of JavaScript in Retro Spaceball for the web build, but I haven't actually made a web build in a while. Oh yeah, I learned Godot's language that way. Once you understand what the words mean, you just wing it mostly. Yeah, for sure. I mean, I don't know. That's all I know because I'm self-taught. But I'm sure there's more to it than that. Like I don't know. I started picking up design patterns and stuff like that, and trying to like piece those together for Unity mostly, because that's the engine that I got the deepest in. Yeah. You know, for me, Unity was just like, it just felt like home when I found it, like, because I was really kind of struggling with Game Maker and even with RPG Maker. There's just these limitations, and I'm being a 3D major because I studied 3D animation in college. I was always like, oh, well, why am I learning this 2D stuff if I'm going to do 3D stuff? And yeah. Unity was a game changer. It totally was. It was absolutely a game changer. Like I was in like a 3D modeling group or something on Facebook, and I was talking to someone about working on his game, and he was like, oh yeah, it's a Unity game, you should check out Unity. I was like, all right. And I didn't end up actually working on their game, but I ended up like learning Unity that night and making a little, like, you know, not like a game, but like a prototype that night. And that was the first time I ever like sat down with a game engine and made something in the same day. And I was like, okay, yep, this is the game engine for me. I actually showed my friends the next day, and they were all like really impressed. They're like, wait, you just learned how to do this and you just made this? I was like, well, I did go to school for 3D modeling and stuff. But yeah, no, what was the other one? I was 3D Rad. That was a lot of fun. But again, I wasn't really like learning it. I was mostly just like finding other people's projects and tearing them apart and learning that way, and instead of like trying to make something. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. It was fun. I really liked 3D Rad, but like at the same time, it's like, I don't know. It's kind of not amazing. What else did I use? Sauerbraten. That's funny because I like forgot all about it, and then I have a podcast and I was interviewing this dev and he brought up Sauerbraten and I was like, oh my gosh, I know Sauerbraten. I didn't think anyone else knew Sauerbraten. And yeah, Sauerbraten. It was like a first person shooter maker kit, right? But it was like a game and an engine in one. I can't remember what the game was called. Maybe Cube? Or maybe the game was Sauerbraten and the Cube engine. I can't remember anymore. No, I think it was Sauerbraten engine. So it's a real weird like German name or something like that. Sauerbraten. Sounds like something you could eat like a schnitzel restaurant. FPS Center engine. I never heard of it. It's old school. It was actually really cool though. It was like cube based, so everything was all cubes. So everything was kind of like gridded, like almost like really big voxels or like Minecraft blocks. But you would edit the walls by like moving cubes around and just like pull the cubes that way. Select these cubes and pull them, and select those cubes and pull them. Now you've got a wall, and you could design the levels really quick and just like throw in your own assets for the guns and stuff like that. And it was all like super streamlined and super easy and free. So I was like, oh wow, this is cool. Oh, that's cool. I think Crocodile Engine used the same thing today. I'm not familiar with Crocodile Engine. Yeah, it sounds like food. Yeah, it's sauerbraten. Like sauerkraut with a brat. Yeah, so I'm just kind of looking for tiles that I can steal here, so that way I'm not completely redoing everything. Of course, this has to line up with that one, but I don't know. We'll have to see how it goes. I need to fill in some of this red space. Yeah, I don't know anything about Crocodile Engine. I don't think I've heard of it. Maybe I've heard of it, but I don't know anything about it. I've been learning more about like random engines. I think it's awesome that there's like a whole bunch of little ones, or ones that have been around for a while that are still there. I don't think Crocodile Engine is the actual name though. My memory might troll me. I'll go look it up. Be right back. It's up to you. No big deal. Like another podcast episode, I was talking to someone who was working in Construct. They were a Unity dev who moved to Construct recently. I thought that was interesting. Then I took a look at the website and yeah, it didn't look like it was for me. I think it's mostly a design thing more than a game thing, like a map maker. Oh, okay. Oh, like a tile maker. Like tiled. I think I know what you're talking about. There's an app called Tiled that I use that's I think it's similar. It's like for NES style stuff and Game Boy, that kind of stuff. Yeah. But yeah, you know, honestly, Aseprite is so, I don't know if you do 2D sprite art at all, but I love Aseprite. It's so intuitive and easy to use, and it's got like all the same shortcuts as Photoshop, which I don't use anymore, but I did go to school and learned a whole lot of Creative Suite while I was at school, so that's kind of stuck with me. There's no getting rid of that. And now it's with Aseprite, it's ingrained even further. I don't have to think about it as Photoshop shortcuts anymore. I can think about it as Aseprite shortcuts. Yeah, I use a free Aseprite version. I didn't know there was a free Aseprite version, but I think it was only 15 bucks when I got it on sale. So, um, definitely worth the 15 bucks. And I don't know if the free version allows for plugins, but those are pretty nifty too. Lots of cool stuff. I don't know how to write plugins or anything like that, but someone does. And they're pretty cool. Would love to do Aseprite plugins. But yeah, I just like if I were to try to learn something like that, I would have so much more of a hard time because there's no game design element to it. There's no like the fruit would be like coming up with a tool that other people could use. I don't know. It'd be different. The fruit, the fruit of the labor. It's not really Aseprite. The code is open source, so that they recompile it and give it give it for free, called Aseprite. Yeah. So in open source, so something very similar. Right on. Nowhere. Interesting. Librasprite. Librasprite? I've heard of this before. Is that and I know there's like an iPhone app, iOS app that's like just like Aseprite. I don't have the iOS. I wish there was a good mobile sprite app like Aseprite. I don't for Android. I don't think there's a good one for Android. I was looking. For the longest time I had a terrible crappy old phone, and I finally upgraded it, and I was looking for a good pixel art app, and I was like, these all kind of suck. That's not the color I want. What color do I want? This color? This color. It's also for Windows. It's literally the same, but outdated, I think. Right on. Yeah, no, I mean, I bought it, so I'm pretty happy with the updates. But that's awesome that there's a free open source version. Honestly, it's such a good piece of software that I definitely feel like supporting the devs. I know that's not the case with every piece of software. And then at $15, it's like really hard to say like that it's not worth it, because it totally is, just 100%. This timeline thing alone, if you do any animation, it's just like holy cow. Because like when I first started this project, I was using, what's it called, frickin' Piskel, 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 and it's not bad. It does the job, but compared to this, like, it's kind of nothing. But it, you know, it was free web app, like it wasn't bad. It definitely got the job done. Piskel, there's an E in there, Piskel. Yeah, that it's like a web app, but it's also like a standalone app. So if you don't have good internet, you could download it. Or if you do have the internet all the time, then you don't need to download it. You can just download the files as you make them and then load them back in. It's cool. It's got animation, but it doesn't have this nice like grid layer animation stuff. It's just not as intuitive. It's not as user friendly. Yeah, it's not as nice. For $15, it's like, okay, I do so much pixel art. And also, I've been able to use this as like a alternative to GIMP sometimes, because I use GIMP mostly because I don't use Photoshop, and I learned GIMP. It sucks, but I learned it, and could be worse, right? But yeah, if I can, I'll use this over GIMP any day. Yeah, I use GIMP too. It's not a bad tool. I really wish that the shortcuts were the exact same as this or Photoshop. I don't know why they had to be so different on the the keyboard shortcuts. You know, like you would expect B to be the brush, but the brush is like P, I think. And then the eyedropper, usually it's I, but in GIMP it's O. I use GIMP for image editing, Aseprite for pixel art, and Krita for my bad drawings. Well, I'm sorry to hear that your drawings are bad. No, I'm sure they're not bad. I use Krita as well. I'm not a huge fan of Krita. Like it's better for like trying to get like an artistic stroke, like a fake media stroke or whatever, than GIMP. I mean, you can still do some stuff with GIMP, but Krita is pretty good for that. I don't like how it accidentally rotates for me all the time, and that's probably a me thing. Like, you know, I accidentally rotate it. And I saw Fee rotating her canvas, and I was thinking to myself, man, I never rotate the canvas. Like, even when I'm painting, I have it on an easel, and I'll rotate myself before I rotate the canvas. Although I used to like do like flip it upside down and paint, like that kind of stuff, but I use all free software because where I'm from, paying in dollars is kind of expensive, and they get the job done too. I totally understand that. Yeah, I mean, I have a programmer friend who lives in Cairo that I tend to bring up because this topic of conversation, he was telling me, and this was a while ago now, that with the amount that I spent on my computer, which was like a couple grand or something like that, that I could live for like years in Cairo, like paying rent off of that. But if I were to buy a computer, it would cost me years worth of rent if I had Egyptian money. Your Krita rotates? I think I don't suffer from that because my digital tablet is screenless. I'm not sure what I do to rotate Krita, to be honest. I feel like it's an accidental keyboard shortcut thing, like a Shift or Alt or something like that. Because I tend to hit those buttons like all the time, and maybe that combined with some type of stroke on the tablet. But I have a graphics tablet, and I also have this Wacom, and I use this Wacom way more than I use the XP pen. Even though it's like a 22-inch with like a monitor and stuff, you gotta plug it in. You gotta like, I don't know. I've got these. My desk is all modular and stuff, so I gotta like set it all up. And then honestly, I got used to doing it without a screen, and it's actually kind of beneficial to do it without a screen because you don't have to look around your stylus. Like if you're doing it on a screen, like the stylus is in the way. You gotta like look around the stylus, and then there's like this gap between the glass and the screen, so like it's not like drawing on paper, you know what I mean? How odd. I mostly just use Control-Z, Control-Y, E for eraser, B for pencil. I'm more accustomed to 3D shortcuts. Yeah, I use the tablet. I got used to the tablet quick, sorry. It's getting late here. Yeah, no, I really jumped right into the tablet. The early Wacom, probably version 1 or 2, but it was a small one. It wasn't very big, and that one worked for a long time. The pen started to fall apart. Kind of like I had to do the same. Like this one, I put a little grip on it from another. I sacrificed the grip from a marker and put it on there. Yo, Wacom here too. Yeah, no, I like Wacom. I wish they weren't super expensive, but they definitely do the best work. I ended up giving my old Wacom away. I kind of wish that I kept it just as like a backup, but like I didn't need it, and my buddy got good use out of it, so good for him. Yep. No, you know, I used to, I use a mouse sometimes. And I did use a mouse for a long time. But yeah, in college, it was just so much easier to use this, you know, stylus situation. But also, you know, like trying to do, what they call digital painting, you know, that was very, very difficult in college. We didn't have really good digital painting courses yet. A lot of that was, this was back in what, like 2006 or so. A lot of that was still pretty fresh. So there wasn't a whole lot of training out there. Yeah, I mostly did 3D modeling and animation in college, so there was actually some information about that stuff, which is kind of cool. But also, you know, some of that's not used anymore. Yeah, I just started using a tablet, so I always drew pixel art in just mouse. Yeah, it's doable, and some people stand by that. They swear by it, and they'll even say like, well, what are you doing using a tablet for pixel art? Like, how could you do that? Like, that's gotta be terrible. But yeah, no, it's like second nature for me. But yeah, I can switch between the mouse just as easy. Do you use Blender or some pay alternative? I use both Blender and Blockbench, Minecraft modeling app. I've never used Blockbench, but yeah, I use Blender. When I was in college, I learned 3ds Max, but it was just too expensive. It's ridiculous. And then at one point, because I was finding clients that would they would pay for the license, and I didn't have to pay for it, so I was like, oh, that works. But those were only the bigger clients. As soon as I started going to smaller clients and say and they'd be like, oh, you can do 3D modeling, that's great, I need some 3D models. I'd be like, oh, cool, do you have a license for anything like 3ds Max or Maya? No, nope. Got Blender though. You know how to use that? I'm like, nope, but I can learn. And so I actually got to learn Blender on the clock. Obviously not charging for the hours I spent in tutorials, but I got paid for the first, that was my incentive for learning, was I got to do actual work and get paid. But yeah, it was rushed. It was like, oh, crash course Blender time, because there's a client that needs Blender. GIMP was kind of the same way, because I would have clients that were like, oh yeah, I need work, and I'd be like, oh well, Photoshop is really expensive, so get more clients with free software, that's for sure. Yeah, I learned GIMP in just one day. It's definitely doable. I mean, don't get me wrong, there's still things to learn. Even for me, I've been using it for over 10 years now. I had to look at the date. Well, I mean, it's just like any other graphic imaging software, they're deep. There's always things to learn. Anytime you try a new skill or a new technique or something in a different piece of software, there's always some nuance to it. Or if you're trying to get the same effects that you would with Photoshop, that can be very difficult with GIMP. Not impossible, just very difficult. Yeah, I wanted to edit a 3D model for presentation. That's pretty cool. I love 3D modeling. It's one of those things, I kind of wish that I did more of it, but then when I'm doing it for work, I'm like, oh, that's awesome that I get to do this for work. And I'm also really happy that I got a chance to learn pixel art, because yeah, when I started this project, I didn't really know that much pixel art. I was like, oh, I'm gonna learn it. I'm an artist. I went to school for art. How hard could it be? I did 3D modeling. And it's not easy, of course, but nothing worth doing is ever easy. What kind of stuff do you like to 3D model, or do you still do 3D modeling? That's something to live by. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, at this point in my life, I'm accustomed to the hard road. Not saying that like that's all I know, but like it can be difficult. Sometimes when the money doesn't come in, you gotta do other things, you know, as an artist. Like, it's nice to say like, oh, that's my full-time job, but we all know that when things get tough, there's another job that has nothing to do with art that I'm gonna need. Hopefully it doesn't happen again for a while, but you know, I 3D model characters from famous series or movies. I want to do fan art, but I can't draw yet, so I use that. But I also model for some prototypes of mine. Yeah, that backup job is always lurking. I mean, you can make a lot of money and still have fun as a hobbyist, as doing art, you know, and not make a bunch of money off the art, and that's totally valid. It's weird that like, you know, art school and even just social media and art presence, and, you know, people's art presence, that kind of thing, they glamorize the idea of like, you have to live off the art, you know, you have to just make art, and that's just ridiculous. There's no way to afford that. What those people end up doing is they find like patrons, right, that pay for their stuff. It's always been this way. And it's not too far from like begging at that point, you know. You're like looking for people to pay more money than they should for art that's not going to be worth, you know, like it's depends on a lot of things, of course. Can totally get on a tangent for that. Yeah, totally. Whatever keeps you fed allows you to keep going. That's the reality of it. If you enjoy doing it, then you're going to make it a priority regardless of the expense or the lack of funding or whatever. It's not easy. It's definitely difficult, and unfortunately I've seen a lot of artists that were good stop doing art because of whatever reason, you know, because of the difficulties of it, and that's super sad. 100% sad. But yeah, I mean, the beautiful thing about art is that anyone can do it. And yeah, it's nice to have good materials, and some materials are way better than others, but you can totally make good art with next to nothing as far as money goes. I'm not too far from Chicago here, and there's a really nice art museum there, the Art Institute of Chicago. And one of my favorite artists, Roberto Mata, he did crayon drawings, and they're on the wall in crayon on cardboard, and they're on the wall in the Art Institute. So I mean, crayon on cardboard, and it's awesome. He's one of my favorite artists. If you don't know his stuff, you could totally look him up. Roberto Mata. I could look it up. Let's see if I find anything. Roberto Mata. Oh, I think this is the one that I was talking about. Holy cow, it is. Where is it? Give it to me. Show me the drawing. There it is. Yeah. So that's Crayola crayon, and I'm pretty sure it's on cardboard. Either that or one of his other pieces nearby was on cardboard. And it's a grapefruit. It's a still life of a grapefruit, but it's also called space travel. or star travel. And this piece, yeah, it's Crayola crayon. I remember reading it on the plaque, and I actually, like, because we were there for art school stuff, and I was like, I'm gonna do something based off of this, because that was like our purpose of being there. So I actually did a piece that was based off of this piece. It's very different, but it was I took like a section of it, and then I redrew it in charcoal, and then I did like a I don't know, what do you call that, kaleidoscope like pattern of this charcoal thing. It was like a motif based off of this. But yeah, star travel, or space travel, parentheses star travel, 1938, by the way. So yeah, this guy was not rich in the 30s or late 30s. Had a box of crayons, which probably cost a decent amount of money back then just for the crayons, and then painted this with crayons, or drew it. But yeah, pretty good stuff. I'm a big fan of his work. He's like a surrealist from the, you know, from the 30s. But yeah, super inspirational work. I always really liked surreal art when I was growing up. Like Dali was one of my big inspirations growing up, and then I kind of grew out of Dali, like the more that I like got into it. Not that he's not a great artist. He really was fantastic. He technically, you know, amazing. He was skilled as far as painting goes, and he could draw what was in his mind, which is like a skill that not everyone has. Like, so heck yeah for him. And the only issues that I had was that he was basically doing pop art stuff. It was almost like guerrilla marketing. He would do things for the sake of getting people's attention. It was, you know, what people call shock art. And I guess he's kind of notorious for that now. It's a lot easier to see it in hindsight that he wasn't the world's most passionate artist. He definitely had some tripped out visions that he could get down onto paper, and very, very cool stuff. But like, if you compare him to something that's totally different, like Alex Gray is like a super spiritual, like visionary artist. So it's kind of close to surrealism, but it's what they call visionary art. So it's a little bit different. But like very, very religious in a sense, but it's not like God religion or Muslim or any one religion, just like the world spirit almost, you know, like a non-religious spirituality, right? I always thought that was really cool. Yeah, I think it's valid to some point, but focusing on shock value was never good. Yeah, it's kind of like the Marilyn Manson thing, where like, yeah, it was cool when it started, and like I remember I saw him in like what was that, like 2000. I saw Manson in 2000, and it was good. And then I saw him again in like 2003, and it wasn't good. It was like really bad. Like I remember thinking like, wow, this is like bad. Like I thought it was going to be like okay at least. Like no, it went downhill fast. And like, you know, that's kind of the thing. The shock value goes away. It's like a spectacle reward in game design. You know, that's what we call when there's something flashy or you win, so there's some stars and confetti at the end. It's a spectacle reward. Every time you see it, it's less and less rewarding. It only does so much for you. The same thing with shock value in art. Like, it's interesting to see the first time it happens, and then every time you see it, it's less and less interesting. Like, yeah, you get my attention. How do you plan to keep it though? yeah, and then there's a conversation that ends up happening, right? And some of it's, you know, uh what's the word, subconscious, right? You're not actually having the conversation, but it's taking place, that because the artist is thinking that, how can I shock them, how can I outdo myself, what can I do to top that, how do I top myself? And that's where things go off the rails typically. You end up just making offensive art, or you know, art for the sake of art. And I don't know, I'm not saying there's no value to that, but the value gets diminished the further you get away from like any actual meaning or some, you know, philosophy or intent, some type of intrinsic value that you know, viewers can place on it, right? If it ends up being like a TikTok video kind of thing, where it's like you're just trying to follow the trends and get the newest, or get new people involved, you know, and I don't know. I guess I'm kind of old school when it comes to that stuff. Like, I never really appreciated Andy Warhol's art until I was older, and even then, I more appreciate him for his desire and passion than the actual art that he produced. I don't know if you're familiar with Andy Warhol. He's kind of old now, or he's, you know, I don't think he's still around, but his art's kind of old now, and he did the Campbell soup cans that everyone knows, and it makes sense. He was like, you know, making a statement on like the ubiquitous nature of just, you know, media and pop, and, you know, art for the sake of art, right? But there was also a deeper meaning within his art that a lot of people don't really know, because apparently Warhol had like some type of issue where like his intestines had like a hole in it or something like that, so he needed like a colonoscopy bag or something like that. He had some type of gut issue where he went on record saying that his body was like forcing him to like ingest his own shit or something like that, and that's what he was forcing on society, was that his infliction that was given to him by God, he was giving that to society by force feeding their own media back to them. Ew, yeah, no, it's pretty gross, but like that's how deep and twisted that guy was, and that's how his art was so in your face, what you wanted to see but not the way you expect it, and people loved it because it was back in the 60s, so. But it was shock art, same thing. So that guy just churned out money. He had a team of people. He would design something, and then he'd have a team of people print it out, and then he'd sign it. That's some weird ideology, but I mean, with a hole in your stomach, I get it. Yeah, I mean, I think he was, you know, trying to like, I don't know what the word is. Trying to symbolize his bitterness towards the world, I think, because not everyone has that issue, yet some people do. You know, it's kind of like, I don't, like, for me, I have like really poor eyesight. When I was a kid, I used to get really down on like, why is my eyesight so bad? And you know, back in the day, you had to have these thick glasses. They didn't have the high index lenses, and people would be like, holy cow, 4 eyes, you know. And you know, it's just one of those things, like people can be cruel, and no one gets the same hand, right? No one gets dealt the same hands, and it's just one of those things you have to learn to deal with, you know. It's unfortunate. It'd be nice if everyone had perfect eyesight. but you just gotta be grateful with what you've got, you know? I mean, I've got 2 working eyes. And then, you know, later, you know, when I was a kid, I was like, oh, I'm gonna get the laser eye surgery when that's cheap. And the further I got in life, the more I realized that I actually really appreciate the flaw of my eyes having poor eyesight, because now I can see the world in a way that no one else can. And I definitely think that that changed my view as an artist. And just like how I see the world. You know, because I see things like almost like microscopic vision. Like if I were to like look at my hand, I can see all the little pores and crevices and all that stuff, you know. And it's funny because if I take off my glasses, I have to get my hand about this close to actually be able to see it. But right here it's blurry right here, you know, so my eyes are like pretty bad. Yeah, I get it, like the circumstances define our reality. Yeah, I mean, it's a weird thing, you know. It's all, the way I see it is that we're really not different from animals or other animals in nature. You know, obviously we're more evolved than that, where we treat each other nicely when we can and stuff like that, but in the end we all need food and shelter and water. And you know, when resources are scarce, like, we do what we need to get by, and it's scary because it turns us into something that we don't have control over, almost, you know what I mean? Funny enough, I just got my first glasses, so I get it just a bit more. So you know what I'm talking about. Yeah, glasses, they're not all bad. Like I said, I wouldn't get the laser surgery now, you know. It sucks, the glasses, you know, but the laser surgery, you know, first of all, something could go wrong. That would suck. Second of all, I don't think insurance covers it, so I have to pay for it. That would suck. Third, I would never be able to see super close up again. So if I ever want to draw something and get real close to it and see how I'm, you know, how the graphite's manipulating the fibers of the paper as I draw on it, like, I'll never be able to see that again without a magnifying glass. So it's kind of cool to have that natural ability to just be like magnifying glass, like right there. You know, it makes me who I am. So I've grown accustomed to it, and I appreciate it now. I wouldn't trade it. I like it. But yeah, I'm lucky, you know, in a whole bunch of ways. Like one time I was ejected out of a vehicle that was going like 70 miles an hour in a like a zone that it shouldn't have been. Anyways, the car rolled. I got ejected from the passenger side and sucked out, landed on my shoulder blade, and it cracked my scapula. Yeah, man. And I lived through it, right? And I was super lucky that I wasn't wearing my seatbelt, because had I been wearing my seatbelt, there's a good chance that my arm or something would have been out the window, and then the car would have rolled on it and I would have lost the arm. But since I was out the car, landed on my scapula, which is actually a really good thing to land on. It did crack it, but it's the hardest bone in the body to break, apparently. My life is full of this crazy life lore. That's what I'm saying. I'm super lucky. Like, and it's like I wasn't driving in that situation. I was in the passenger side. I did kind of put myself in a shitty spot there. I was drinking, and someone was driving that was drinking that I didn't know they were drinking. And also they were too young to be driving or drinking, and I didn't pick up on either of that because I was drunk. So like I was clearly too drunk. So I don't drink anymore. Not because of that, but because of other reasons. Other life lore reasons. Damn, so many things at once. I could keep going, but honestly, you probably don't want to hear all of the life lore I have. And at some point you probably stop believing me because it's just so outrageous. Like another time I shattered my wrist. Let's look at the scar to prove it. And I was longboarding downhill. I was trying to impress a girl. I did not impress her. She was letting me borrow her little sister's longboard while she was on her own longboard. So she knew her stuff, and she was going down this hill, and you know, she went right down. And she's like, "You shouldn't do it, Rick. You're new at this. Don't want you to hurt yourself. Don't go down the hill." And I was like, telling me not to go down the hill? Like, come on. So I did it, and I fell like right away. And those things go fast. But I was lucky, super lucky, because I tucked and rolled, and instead of hitting my skull, which didn't have a helmet, should have had a helmet, I hit my wrist, and it shattered. It shattered my wrist. So I'm actually lucky that I have as much movement as I have from it. If it makes you feel better, I broke my arm because I stood on a chair and got my shoelaces tangled up. Yep, that sucks. How bad was the break? Sorry to hear that, but that would not be fun. Yeah. I didn't really break a lot of bones growing up. So mine was dumber. Well, I don't know. Did you impress a girl? Because if you impressed a girl, then I don't know. Because I definitely did not impress anyone. It was crazy, actually. Because this girl that I was dating, her friend happened to be like right in the area, and she just like, it's like she was like stalking us or something. She was like right there, right after her. I was like going into shock, so maybe more time passed than I remember. It was fine, really. Lost of years ago. I lost a bit of mobility and didn't impress no one. Yeah, the mobility thing, that sucks. Man, I'm sorry to hear that. Yeah, me too with the wrist. It'll never be the same. The surgeon said 80%. No, it's probably, maybe, I don't know. Depends on which way I'm rotating. It probably closer to 60 though. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. Not the same. But what are you gonna do? Just gotta keep doing the exercises. And that's another thing. I couldn't really afford the what do they call that? The therapy, physical therapy afterwards. Yeah, don't worry about the spelling. I'm terrible at Twitch chat spelling. I can type it really fast and hit enter before I even look at it, and I'm like, wait a second, I should have looked at it before I hit enter. Because I can't actually type that fast. I mean, I can spit out gibberish fast, but can you consider it typing? I don't know. Yeah, I can't turn the arm 180 like the other, but I can get it pretty far thanks to the physical therapy. Yeah, I'm sure the physical therapy helped. I actually ended up doing physical therapy for my shoulders. So I had this strange thing happen to me where I apparently I've been allergic to gluten my entire life and didn't realize it for like way too long. Shoulders too. Yeah. So I was actually starting to develop like chronic pain from not eating, or from eating gluten when I shouldn't have been. It's really messed up the way this works. So like your intestine, your small intestine breaks down nutrients. And if you have a gluten intolerance and are exposed to gluten, especially regularly, like I was, what happens is your intestines become so inflamed that they no longer break down nutrients. So I was actually, like, I was eating food, but it was almost like I was anorexic because I didn't actually get all the nutrients from the food because my intestines were so inflamed from the gluten. And this was for decades. So it came down to me freaking out because it felt like I was dying, right? Pretty much, because my bones hurt, my muscles hurt, and I couldn't figure out why. I thought maybe I had tetanus. I was like going to the doctors, and they couldn't figure it out. You know, they'd blood test me and stick me with a bunch of needles and try to figure it out. They couldn't figure it out. They had all these ideas of what it might be, but then nothing ever worked out, you know, nothing. And it was gluten the whole time. It's insane. Eventually I had to go to a gastrointestinal person, and he was like, maybe it's a gluten intolerance. And I was like, holy cow. At first I was like, nah, it can't be, I eat gluten all the time. And then I was like, wait a second, I eat gluten all the time and I feel like shit all the time. Maybe that's what it is. And then I stopped eating gluten, and the pain, like, because I said it was chronic pain that was like getting worse and worse, it went away in like 2 days of not eating gluten. It was just like whoosh, gone. And then I could exercise without hurting, and that's crazy. And I started gaining weight right away because I had so much trouble gaining weight for years and years and years. I was like 130 pounds from like junior high to like age 38. So yeah, like yeah, I'm glad I found out too, because it's like completely changed my life. Of course, now I had to learn how to lose weight and exercise and do all this normal stuff that you normally can do when you're not in complete pain all the time. But yeah, it was crazy to find that out and be like, oh, I see. So you have the body of a daredevil. Yeah, I don't know. I'm glad that I survived, but I'm also like, I was really starting to worry when I didn't know what the pain was coming from, because I was like, if it's just gonna keep getting worse, like old age is gonna really suck, because I'm not that old yet, you know what I mean? So I'm glad that like it started going the other way. I really want to live a healthy lifestyle now, so. That ice looking crispy. Oh yeah, I'm glad to. Thanks. Yeah, the ice is you know, icy. Not far from being done here. Yeah, I appreciate you chatting with me. It's always nicer to have someone to talk with while pixeling, especially late at night like this. Can't expect a whole lot of people just coming in, you know. No, not a whole lot of foot traffic at this hour. And yeah, I haven't been streaming a whole bunch either, so that's really awesome that fee rated. I'm really happy with that. Hey, thanks for the follow. I really appreciate it. 5 a.m. so you're gonna hit the bed. But you are cool. Don't stop being cool, and I hope your game goes great. Thanks, man. I really appreciate all that. And yep, have a great night. Mangel. Yep. Take care. I really appreciate the follow. Bye. Yep, so I'm almost done here. Almost done. I think I can do this. Hey. Yeah. Well, I need to get some water, so I'm gonna take a quick break here and just leave the music going. I'll be right back. All right. Fix my hair here. All right. Back to the old Aseprite. All right. Yep. Love the woodblock in this song. I know it's my song. At this point, I feel like I'm just finishing it rather than drawing. Like, put the pixel in the spot, put the pixel in the spot. Luckily, I like to go back and refine things later, so... Like, what was I thinking earlier? When I was just putting pixels in the spot. Alright. See how that looks. Oh, there's a pixel missing. Made a mistake. But... Okay. So that looks pretty good. I'm gonna save this. Probably something I should have done a while ago. There is a way to offset it. Oh, that's not what I wanted to click. I think there's a way to offset it. Maybe not. Do it the old-fashioned way. Where's halfway? About right there. Here it is, the old-fashioned way. Doesn't actually look that bad. You'd probably just get away with leaving it how it is. In fact, I think I'm gonna. There it is. As it was. So I finished the first layer of the background for the snow levels. And it is late. It's 2:30 or 2.5 hour stream. It is 3:30ish my time. So yeah, I'm going to sign off for the evening. Oh, there are 5 viewers, so I guess I could raid to someone. I appreciate the lurking. Let me find someone to raid. Wow. No one is awake. Well, I don't want to raid a stranger, especially when no one's awake. So, I guess that's the end of the road. Yeah, that's unfortunate that no one I know is streaming, but it is super late. Anyways, thanks so much for the lurking and for joining the stream. Everyone, have a great evening. Take care, and goodbye.